everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm miserable today.
Aww.
Hello, Nikki Kinzer.
Hi, Pete. I can hear it in your voice.
Oh, my goodness.
The energy is low.
It is low. It is low, low, low. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm doing a little cleanse. Because I've let myself go. You know that feeling when you just let yourself go? And that's my problem right now. I have let myself go all to hell, and I've gained too much weight, and I eat way too much sugar, and I'm feeling it, and I need to cleanse it. So I'm on day 2 of my sugar cleanse, and I am miserable. Oh, Nikki.
So you have a problem.
That's why I introduced this show with my story of woe, because I feel like this is going to help me out of it.
Yes.
Can you help me out of it?
I'm gonna get you to see this problem as something else.
Oh God, I want to do that so bad. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about embracing our problems today. Before we do that, head over to takecontroladhd.com and get to know us a little bit better. You know the drill. Listen to us right there on the website. Subscribe to our mailing list right there on the homepage. And we'll send you an email each time a new episode is released. You can connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at Take Control ADHD and call us. You can leave us a voicemail at 503-664-4ADD. And all of that is really important because we're still looking for success stories. The success stories that are coming in are fantastic. We need more. We are going to do a whole show on success stories, ADHD success stories. So get them to us by June 21st. What do you have to say?
Yes, we want more. We want more success stories because I love seeing what's coming in and the different ideas, and definitely want to share them with the community.
Outstanding.
So bring those into us. Well,
June 21st.
Yes. Either email, right? You can email us. You can call us. You can leave a message on Facebook because I've got some posts on Facebook and Twitter about looking for success stories. So wherever you want to give them to us, we want to see them and hear them and read them later.
Please share your stories of ADHD success. That's what we want to see. Thank you in advance for your participation. Okay,
but before we do this show on problems, I have to give you a quick update on my garage sale.
Oh, Nikki, I'm so glad. Oh, tell me, are you now, as I think our listeners are want to know, a garage sale person?
No. And I texted you on Saturday afternoon and I said, I am still not a garage sale person. Yeah, no, I'm not. And I really honestly thought I gave it a good, honest try.
You can't fault you for that. No.
And, but it was a lot of work. I spent most of Friday afternoon and evening, going through things, trying to organize it in such a way that I could take it over to my mother's house. And ran out of time and had to get up a little bit earlier to go over to price everything. And people were coming before we were ready for them. And it was really stressful. And I didn't have everything out yet. And
that's just rude.
It was just stressful. I mean, it was just trying to beat the clock and I wasn't winning. I definitely lost that race.
Oh.
And, we just didn't come out with very much money. And that's okay. I mean, I know that garage sales are not, really meant to have a huge profit. And I kept remembering you saying last week when you were like, I get kind of offended. Like, why don't you want my stuff? And it's so true. It's like, I can't believe this didn't sell. Like, who doesn't want this, and you do have those feelings, and there was still so much left over. And so, I decided what I was going to keep and what I was going to give to certain charities, because there were we had a lot of kids' books, and I didn't want to just give them away. So I'm going to actually think about where I want those to go. And then, we did end up donating a lot of it too, but it was just a lot of work, a lot of time. And it wasn't something that I really care to do again.
I am so glad that you've learned this about yourself. And because I think it'll make you that much more clever in thinking about things to do with all of your stuff when you don't want a garage sale. I know so many more people who hate garage sales in terms of putting them on.
Yeah, they're hard. Them. It's a lot of work.
They're hard. Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
All right. I feel sort of redeemed.
So there you go, people. Yeah. I am not a garage sale person.
We're not good at it. Nope. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Embrace it.
Yep. Embrace the problem.
Embrace the problem.
But I don't even look at that as a problem. I've accepted
now
it.
Now it's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
We are talking about problems today, embracing our problems, and this comes from the Godfather, the Don Corleone of self-help himself. Tony Robbins. How did this come about?
Well, I follow Tony Robbins on Facebook, and there was this quote that he had on there that basically, it just really resonated with me. It said, "The only problem we really have is we think we're not supposed to have problems."
Amen.
Yeah. And I just thought, oh my gosh, how true is that? I mean, there was just so much that was going on in my mind that I want to talk about today. And I apologize. I tried to organize my notes to get everything that was in my mind about this one comment, which really I seriously was thinking about it all week. And so before I go into everything that I, think about this, I did do a little Google research because I wanted to find out more about what Tony Robbins was saying. Like, I wanted to know more about this quote. So I did a little Google research, and sure enough, I found around an 18-minute video on where he speaks about problems and happiness. And we'll put the link in the show notes so you guys can see it. And, it just really resonated with me because I think it's in our human nature to want to solve all of our problems, right? We want to solve our problems and look for solutions and fix those things. We want that, right?
Sure.
I want to fix how you feel right now, Pete, with the low energy.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, we want to. I mean, I think that's why we have self-help. That's why we have coaches. That's why we have podcasts that teach you and inspire you and motivate you, to be a better you. I mean, I get that. But there's also this underlying belief that if you solve your problem or problems, that you're going to get something else in return. And I think, for some people, it's like, well, if I just get this great job, then I'm going to be happy. Or if I just find the perfect person and have love in my life like that, then, I'm just going to have joy and happiness and everything's going to be fixed. Or if I get, a job with more money, then all of my problems will go away. And you know what I'm saying? It's kind of okay, if I fix this,
Can I interject? Because this reminds me of last week, number 6 on the How to Be Miserable list by Dr. Randy J. Patterson, PhD. Pursue happiness directly. Right. Seeking happiness directly guarantees you'll find the opposite. That suddenly makes so much more sense to me, hearing how you are processing this.
Yes. Well, and it was interesting because, I mean, when you think about money specifically, I mean, a lot of people, and myself included, will think, gosh, if I could just make this amount of money per month, or if I can just get to this milestone, then everything else will be less stressful. I'll have more happiness. But if you look at some of the richest people in the world, the money is not what's bringing them happiness or joy.
Right.
Right? It's their connections, it's their relationships, it's how they give back. And it's so it's just really, it all kind of, I have so much to say. I don't even know how to get it all out. Well, and one of the things that Tony Robbins talks about in the videos, he talks about how one solved problem will lead to a new set of problems. So say you do win the lottery and, gosh, that just solved a bunch of problems, but now you have a whole bunch of new problems, right? Because now you have all this money, you've got people asking for it, you don't know what to do with it, you have a whole new set going on now. So one solved problem doesn't necessarily mean that the other one's going to be.
Right.
And he talks about how there's 3 different ways you can deal with problems. One is to ignore the problem. And we know that when we ignore the problem, nothing changes. It doesn't go away. In fact, most of the time it just gets magnified and it gets bigger. The second way you can deal with problems is you blame someone else for it. It's their fault. It's my parents' fault. It's his fault, her fault, my boss's fault, whatever. Or you blame yourself for it. But still the problem doesn't go away, because even if you put blame to it, like you can blame your sugar, right? For feeling bad.
Right,
but
now
it's still,
I do.
Yeah, but it still doesn't make the problem go away. You still have to go through this process of cleansing the sugar out of your system, right? And then, of course, the third is to look for those solutions, to look for strategies and ideas. But in order for the problem to be solved, you have to, it requires you to take action. You have to be willing to change, because obviously it's that old quote from Albert Einstein: if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results, right? I mean, you got to do something different. And one of the things that really hit me with this is I was looking at it, through the lens of ADHD. And I thought, okay, well, ignoring the problem is that avoidance strategy that we've talked about, that people will shut down. You get overwhelmed. This problem just seems so big. If I don't pay attention to it, maybe it will go away. But, as we all know, it doesn't go away. It also continues to get bigger.
Well, it goes back to the, one solved problems leads to a new set of problems. Sure, if you wait long enough and avoid it, that problem may go away, but it also may introduce a whole host of new problems you have to deal with as a result.
Yeah, the consequences, right? All right, absolutely. Well, and then what I find that really relates to ADHD in these three ways to deal with problems is the blame is usually put on themselves, because that's then where you get wrapped in that cycle of shame and disappointment and not being worthy, right? I mean, all of those feelings that this is my fault. Why can't I solve this problem? So I think that one of the great things and one of the great characteristics of ADHD is perseverance. And so people are looking for solutions. They want strategies that are going to help them. But I think what happens is they're expecting the problem to disappear completely. And then they're surprised when it shows up again and again. And they feel like the strategy somehow then has failed because I still have this problem.
Right.
And then therefore I have failed. And so we go back into that cycle of shame. Yeah. And that's really why I think this quote really resonated with me, is that it's that expectation that the problem is going to go away, or that we expect that we shouldn't have problems. We don't want to live in a problem-free world, right? Or life. I mean, because it'd be kind of boring. I know it's tough. But what he's saying, what he goes on to say, is that the secret is not to solve all of our problems, but rather it's to learn to see them as gifts.
There I need you to talk more about that, because I am right now
feeling like crap.
Not feeling like my problem is a gift. I am feeling like I have poisoned myself systematically over the last several years, to the point where I'm sick. And I have dropped all of the really great habits that I had developed over the last, while, and we've talked about them. I was running, I was enthusiastic, and then I hurt myself, hurt my feet terribly for a long period of time, healed through that. But over the process, I've developed some of the very worst dietary habits, and that has become a problem. And it almost sounds cheeky to say I feel like I finally come to the point where I have embraced the problem. It's not really embracing when I feel like I finally got sick enough to feel like I need to make a change. But it doesn't feel like a gift in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And that's the hard part, because you're going through it right now. But what I want to say, and what I believe in, is that you're doing yourself, or you're going through this because you need to take care of yourself. That's the gift. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be necessarily. But the gift is that you are taking this opportunity to say, okay, enough is enough, and I need to do something different. I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to learn from this experience, and I'm going to do something that matters now, going forward. It doesn't matter why the habit stopped. It doesn't matter what happened. That's in the past. You can't change it. But what I would have you focus on is what you're doing right now to make this a big difference to you. How is this going to change you after you get through the next couple of days where you really feel crummy?
Yeah.
But the gift is at the end,
Okay.
you know?
So let's regroup in about 6 months.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at it, I mean, I think that one of the things too, I mean, there's a couple things. I mean, I have so much to say on this. I don't know why this resonated so much with me, but I think there's a tendency too sometimes for people to compare themselves to others. And so
it's the worst.
You know, they think, well, no one else has this problem. Why shouldn't I be able to do this? You know, especially with ADHD. Like, you know, this is just this constant battle that we're fighting, that, you know, it's not perfect. It's not good enough. You know, all of these terrible things are going on. And, you know, I think that it's perspective too, because you got to look at, it's a hard time, but what's going to happen? Like, can I get through this? Well, you can get through it. This is going to make you stronger. It's going to make you more compassionate to other people, because you're going to see other people that are going through challenges, and maybe you won't be so quick to judge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, true. Very true. I just want to highlight one of the challenges, just because I'm in the middle of living it and sort of spent the early morning, deep in the bowels of it, which is that when you are stuck in a place where you're feeling like there's a problem, or you're trying to overcome a challenge, it is so easy to let that kind of comparison take over, right? It's really easy to, like, I spent the morning looking at YouTube videos of tours of other filmmakers' studios as I'm, you know, about to post a new short film to the internet. Like, it's pretty easy to stop and say, well, look at how successful they are. Oh, well, I guess I should go eat a box of donuts. Mm-hmm. And that's just because I'm right, as you say, I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm feeling crummy, and I'm trying to stay super, super present in the reality of what is ultimately negative circular logic. And that's hard to do. And I sort of want to say it out loud. It's hard to do, and it's okay that it's hard to do, and it should be hard to do if eventually I'm going to come back around that this is a gift.
I know.
This is me trying to be super optimistic.
But, you know, it's interesting because, like, there's been, in my life, I mean, I remember going through some really difficult challenges with my husband's health. And, you know, there were times where he was really sick, and, you know, I was very helpless. There wasn't anything that I could do to help him or make him feel better. And, you know, I think that the support around me, I had one particular person that was really resonated with what I was going through. And one of the things that she said to me, she's like, you know, just remember, everything's going to be okay. It's all going to turn out okay. And you have to have kind of that leap of faith when you're in the middle of it, you know, when you're really struggling with something that's, you know, really tough, that having that confidence, I don't know if it's confidence or just faith, I think is probably a better word, that you're going to get through it, and it will become a gift in some way. And I'm not saying that, you know, I mean, it's tricky because, right, I mean, okay, what does gift mean? Like, well, if I've lost a bunch of people in a short period of time, how is that a gift? Like, that's not going to feel like a gift. So I get that this isn't going to apply probably to everything. And nothing does. I mean, nothing is whole like that. I mean, there's always exceptions and stuff. But I think if we can just, with ADHD challenges, the ones that I see most often in my work, is if we can get to a point where we're not necessarily expecting them to go away, but know that deep down, you know, you're doing the best you can. You know how to manage it, and you're figuring it out. It's a work in progress. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. And being okay with that, and accepting that this is how you do certain things, and that's okay, because that sets you free. I think, again, it's like it's that push of trying to compare yourself to somebody else. Let's stop doing that. And accept, you know, what's going on. I'm doing what I can, and take away the judgment and the shame. Like, I heard shame and judgment when you were talking about how did this happen where I was doing all of this and now I didn't.
Yes. Oh,
There's
living right underneath it.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, acknowledging that and seeing that that's happened, but now what do you do going forward? Yes. What can you learn from this? What has happened or shifted in your life that, you know, this can be a gift. I can go through this cleanse. I can start getting back into my routine, and I can start doing this again and not feel bad about what did or didn't happen, in the last year or so.
Well, and what I do, my sense memory of the whole experience, and this is the lesson for me that I have to keep in my head, is that once I get over this first hump and clear the sugar out of my system for, 3-5 days a week, I'm suddenly allowed to see more clearly, about the journey. Mm-hmm. And my head clears and my body doesn't ache as much, and my energy is, much better, sort of metered. And then I can start to see maybe there is a horizon out there where this feels like a gift. Today, day 2 feels pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, and you're taking your power back. I mean, it's a very empowering thought to know that that's going to happen. Like, I'm going to be able to get past this. I mean, that's huge. You're right. Taking a leap of faith, and you're going through it, and you're living it, and it's icky and it's uncomfortable. But you see, just by what you just said, that I know this is going to turn out different. It's going to be okay. And I've been listening to a great book that was recommended by one of my clients. It's called The Book of Joy. Mm-hmm. And it's a conversation about joy between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Mm-hmm. And it's just really fascinating to listen to these two spiritual leaders talk about how we find joy and the perceptions that we have, or how we perceive suffering and joy, and how we as people tend to bring on our own suffering. And they're saying, well, why can't we bring on more of our joy? We can bring more joy into our life too. And the compassion piece of that, you suffer and then you become more compassionate for others. And we certainly need more compassion in this world. True. Just as a whole. But anyway, it's a really interesting book. And I think it's a good book to listen to and to read. If you're trying to figure out, how does that work? How can I be joyful, but still, have a lot of bills to pay, and I'm in financial debt, and I've got all these things that are still stresses and issues and problems. So, on a last note, something that Tony Robbins says that I really do believe in is, he says, once you see your problems as gifts, your life will change, and that truth will set you free. And I think that there's just a lot of, he even says it sets you free. There's freedom in that, and knowing that it's okay to have these problems. It's okay to accept these things. It's okay if they come back. We can deal with it. We can, live through the ickiness like you are right now, and come out ahead at the end, and see it as a gift at some point, or at least be able to learn from the experience, grow from it, and keep moving on and living the life, you deserve to live. We all deserve to be happy. We all deserve to have joy. And there you go.
I think that, the hidden secret of that for me is that you don't know what you're going to learn by overcoming the problems and adversity that you deal with. You don't know how you're going to change until you've done it. And that is a large part of the gift. That's a large part of finding the joy, which is just to stop and sit back and reflect and honor the experiences that you've been through, no matter how difficult they are. And, I just finished working on a project with a mom whose son was born with Down syndrome and autism. And, she'd already had 2 kids that were a little bit older, and she was just faced with this, oh my God, I don't know how to be a mom to this experience. I don't know how to do this. And that was and she ended up becoming one of the most incredible advocates. And this kid is, Downs and autism, whatever, a severe case of charisma. Like this is the most amazing kid, and he's about to graduate from middle school. And it's an amazing thing. Well, those lessons, there's a choice. She could have either sat there and just, lived with the fear and the challenge of this experience, and instead became an advocate and raised a kid with a real future. And that's a very special gift, I think. And that's one of those things that I'm thinking about right now. Like,
yeah,
I can lose some weight. This isn't that hard.
And I love that you're saying that it's a choice that she made, because I think that that's really a lot of where, that's a lot of what I'm finding when I'm listening to the Book of Joy, is that it is a choice. And I think that that's where when this quote first really resonated with me, it was like, okay, how do we get to that point where we feel like it's a choice that, okay, what do I do about this? How do I look at this differently? And so I think that the choice is definitely, it's that there's something there to reflect on. The other thing too, I want to go back to the compassion piece real quick. I remember talking to a friend of mine whose husband had cancer, and, cancer and MS are obviously very different things. But her husband was definitely going through chemo and doing all of the treatments to beat this cancer. And so after I talked to her about how he was doing, how he was feeling, I asked her, I said, how are you doing? And she just looked at me for a second and she started bawling. Because I don't think that anyone has really asked her how she was doing.
Right.
I wouldn't have known to have asked that question if I wasn't a caregiver for somebody else that was going through something similar.
Right.
And so we can do that. We can connect with other people by these things that are heavy and dark and scary, but we can also help somebody else with just a simple question that, you wouldn't have known to ask if you hadn't experienced something similar.
That's beautiful. There's a little bit of heavy stuff, but hopefully ending on a high note, everybody. Please go check out this Tony Robbins video. We put a link in the show notes, and we'll embed it on the website at takecontroladhd.com. We hope you'll take some time to check on that and reflect on your own, let's say, gifts. We'll just call them gifts. And
it's going to be a gift, Pete. I promise. I'm going to pull you out of this, buddy.
Oh, God, I need it. The hole is closing in around me. It's so dark.
We're here to support you.
All I see is Snickers and Starbursts.
No. They say that once you cut the sugar, the cravings start to go away.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Oh, hallelujah. So that's it. I'm going to be going through that this week. I hope you all will look at this Tony Robbins video and reflect on your own challenges and send us your success stories. Maybe this gives you some inspiration, some fodder, some grist for the mill for thinking about your own success stories and in looking at your ADHD as a way to bring you happiness and gifts in your own life. Thank you so much, Nikki Kinzer. On behalf of Nikki, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you next week right here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.